Nick, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, are you guys concerned about Michigan's NIL, and do you think the new president can ease admission requirements to make it easier for undergrad transfers to come in? I hope they fix their NIL. One thing I will say real quick, and then I'll kick it to you, is Joel Klatt is a Colorado alum, and obviously you talked about the Dion hiring, but he said that they just changed their admissions requirements to, and I can't remember if it was, I think it was to essentially be able to take more gen ed courses from other schools to make essentially makes it easier for guys to transfer in. So that is a possibility. That is a power that each school individually has the ability to do. So I wanted to mention that. So it is possible to change that. So I'll kick it to you. Are you concerned with Michigan's NIL?
Not so much with the NIL, but I've always been concerned with their admission requirements. I think it has prevented the ease of transfers coming to Michigan in terms of, you can have, a player with almost a junior level worth of credits, but, due to the type of credits actually transferred over to Michigan, they'll have to start as a freshman, and they came,
That's
y-
crazy.
and see that could be, and understandably so, a non-negotiable for some of these guys, no matter how much they may want the opportunity. So, um, that's the biggest concern for me. Do I think the new president could change that? Sure. I mean, look, Schlichel, the previous president, I believe, right? Well, it was from Michigan. He was a big academia guy. He never seemed to be overly concerned with or motivated to work with the athletic department, uh, to change that. Now, Ono, I think it's the last name of the new president. He's brought in quite a bit of energy being a new president. He seems very enthusiastic about athletics. He enjoys the games. He's at every big time game. So could he be a little bit more interested in working with the athletic department, maybe to change some things up? I'll put it this way. I am optimistically intrigued that he can. I don't know that he will, but I think there's a much higher chance that the new president would do as opposed to Schlissel, the previous one.
Yeah, I mean, you essentially you'd love to have as much essentially ammunition or intrigue for your program as possible. So you'd love to have NIL right lined up. You'd love to have the admissions requirements a little bit easier for guys to get right. So you'd love all of that stuff to happen. um I mean,
Well,
at this
it's
point,
the
I
academia. That's what it comes down to. It's the whole, the value. I think the fear or the thought process is devaluing the perception of your academic standards. Look, but the, it doesn't really matter what you want to say. It's when it comes to Michigan, even though it's an incredible academic university, one of the top in the country, it's not Northwestern. It's not Stanford. It's not a Ivy League school. It's a fantastic education, but it's like this weird middle ground that they try to play, in which they present themselves as having that kind of academic standard, but yet that's not quite what they are as well. Yeah, and I feel like, well, if you're not going to be a Stanford or Northwestern and have very, very strict academic requirements, then why are we even trying to do that? Let's try to go all in, and let's not have any kind of those major restrictions. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think it's this kind of weird area that they find themselves in.
yeah, I don't know. I think I can understand why they don't change it because of the as historic and as great of a reputation that the Michigan football program has. I think the Michigan brand itself, which I think right, the football program is within that brand, but the Block M, I think probably has a stronger reputation, and if you're gonna hold on to one, which one do you go full force on? I would argue the brand, because the argument would almost be, look at the current environment of the football team, right? We haven't changed the admission requirements to this day, and right, it's possible. Like, we can be successful. We can, you're building to an elite football program. So those things, it seems like those things can happen without us making, drastic changes. Maybe you do, one or two little tweaks, something like that to help, right? But doesn't hurt the brand too much. But I think there's a balance that you can have, but absolute worst case, I would, if you're the president, I'd look at it and say, well, we can keep the brand strong, and we've got the right guy coaching and building that culture to where it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody would like it to be easier, but it's just not. So work with what you got. It seems to be working well, so let's just keep on down the train tracks. Like, the train's going in the right direction. We're all right. We're good.
Yeah, I think Michigan's just one of those rare, it's one of those rare universities where both their athletic and academic department are both equally, I won't say equally, but are both on par with some of the best in the country. Academically, they're one of the most prestigious universities in the country outside of the, universities that are Ivy League, and athletically, I mean, they're one, they have a very competitive athletic department. Football, basketball. Look, the basketball team has been in the Final Four, what, 3 out of the last 10 years, something like that, or 12 years, something crazy like that. Football team, you see what they're doing. The baseball team was just in the College World Series, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I think they have a really good hockey team as well. So, I mean, look, it's a fantastic all-around university, and I just think they have a rare situation where I just don't think, and I'm not a Michigan grad. I went to Central Michigan University, but I'm not a Michigan grad. But
Fire
I don't
up.
think fire up Chiz, baby. I just don't. I'll be shocked if like a rich Michigan alum, or just let's say someone who is well, look, we know people who are Michigan grads, but so we
Mm-hmm.
can ask them. But it's
True.
like let's say if you're a doctor who got your undergrad and medical degree from University of Michigan, do you really care if a kid who's helping Michigan win a national title is not the best student? Do you think it devalues your degree? I don't think it does at all. And I don't think that really matters in terms of the perception of the block camp and students regular students, if you will, who go to Michigan. I think they're one of those rare universities where that perception probably isn't there compared to maybe, and I could be totally wrong about this, Alabama. I'm not saying the University of Alabama is not a good university, but I would assume
They
that.
don't get high marks. I'll put it that
Well, okay.
way.
I'm just saying, like, like Alabama has great athletics, right? Especially football. But, for students, people who graduate from University of Alabama, I'm sure that that degree isn't
Prestigious.
as a University of Michigan degree.
Correct.
Even if their football teams are, as of right now, equally as successful,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, I guess the counter to what you said is if I'm the doctor that right, you said if one guy is not as great of a student, while I agree with that premise, I think the argument is, over time, would that devalue, right?
right.
So you're talking just one kid. Well, I'm saying if the next 5 years, if it's 200 kids, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. You know what I mean? Who knows? I'm just looking at the other side of it. Of, I want to make sure that my degree, my institution it's prestigious. It's difficult to get into. So
Yeah.
I like I said, I think there can be a balance. We'll see what happens at the end of the day.
It's a tough line to, especially in today's, for college football. It's a tough balance to have, especially if you're trying to be extremely competitive consistently over time. So, but hey, we'll see how Michigan continues to toe that line. And as of now, they're getting the best of both worlds, baby. And
I'm gonna go back to Let's Toast Media's question real quick. But GOJ, this is just unnecessary. Listen, he put Alabama. I was on campus 10 years ago. Half the football team couldn't read to a Lord forgive me. Is that necessary? Okay. Dude, I don't know who was anybody talking about literacy levels, okay? Nobody
Oh
was. You just brought that up out of the blue.
God.
That's actually really funny. That's good. Thanks for the comment, GOJ. Oh man.